You know, you can learn a lot cleaning windows, not just about the glass, but about people, about business, and about yourself. Welcome to the Window Pro podcast. I'm Duncan McRae, and after nearly 30 years on the tools, I've had my share of wins, mistakes, and hard-won lessons. And this show is where we leave the fluff at the door. We're going to have real conversations with fellow window cleaners and ask about how they've built their businesses and what's worked for them. So if you're after practical ideas, honest stories, and the occasional laugh, you're in the right place. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Welcome to the next episode of the Window Pro podcast. And today we're interviewing David Baker from DB Window Cleaning in Adelaide, Australia. Welcome to the podcast, David.
Yeah, good afternoon, Duncan.
So, David, how long have you been window cleaning and how did you get into the industry?
So I'm 61 this year, and I started when I was 19, I think, around 19.
Wow.
Maybe 19, 20. Something like that. So do the maths on that. Yeah, 40, 41, 42 years.
Yes, I noticed on your website, DB Window Cleaning, you mentioned 40 years, so I figured.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about window cleaning? To stay in it for 40 years. Now, you didn't start in Australia, did you?
No. 20. This will be my 21st. So 2004 we got here, and better the devil you know, I found a job with another company, and so that was 21 years, and then 21 years in England.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 42 years this year then.
Yeah. So what do you enjoy about it? The fact that you changed countries, you went halfway around the world and you went straight back into, as you say, better the devil you know. What do you enjoy about it?
What do I enjoy? Does anybody enjoy work? What I enjoy is that it is something I'm good at. It's always been there for me and for my family. When I've explored other options, it's something that when I've explored other options, it's something that I've always sort of fell back on. And it's something I tell the young people that I maybe mentor today and talk to today that are not want to be window cleaners, they just want a Saturday job. It's not a trade, but you can take literally a squeegee and a mop in your suitcase, in your backpack, and work your way around the world, because whatever we clean here, you can clean over there. And I know there's different tools. We can probably have that conversation going back. But you asked me how I fell into it. A lot of people out there over the last couple of 3 years, and you will know this, Duncan, I've sort of maybe upset, or maybe they've taken me wrong. And I think they've not taken the time to work out who I am and understand my humour, my banter. And sometimes it comes over as not humour, not banter. But I can tell you now, I wear my heart on my sleeves, and as an oldie that's gone through various stages of life, and you'll probably ask me this as a question later on down the line, what bits of advice would you give? Is don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
Pure water, I only tried 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I think back, and I've had to dig down into the brain, I got into it because of a future brother-in-law. My sister's boyfriend was a window cleaner on an estate where the biggest window cleaner in Sheffield resided. He used to use all the young lads. His lad went to school with who is now my brother-in-law, and basically he bought himself a little round to go alongside working for this other window cleaner when he was 16, 17. And a couple of years younger than me. And when I was 19, I was at a lost end. I tried a few things, and he asked me if I wanted to come window cleaning. I'd already got skills like using ladders, which is, as you can see with my backdrop. Back then, it was all ladders.
Yes.
It was, even to the point where, and I've tried to research this, we use what we call an A-frame. All my ladders were wood as well. For obvious reasons, aluminium is cold in winter.
Yeah.
And so basically, we used to A-frame the shop fronts. So A-frame in the corner, squeegee And so he knew I could ladder, and he asked, and from there we turned. He had 200 a month as what we call a side hustle. I don't like that phrase. It's the American terminology. I don't consider window cleaning as a side hustle, but he had a little side hustle alongside working for this chap, and we literally within 6 months of me getting involved, we'd gone from 200 a month to nearly 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
In that, and it's probably the only business I have made a good fist of, because again, without you, if anybody's listening to this, you make decisions in life, and you have to stand by them decisions. And one story I can tell now is that a 13, 14-year-old lad, I was absolutely in love with the thought of the Royal Navy. And at 15, I wrote to the HMS Sheffield, the captain, as part of my school. And the captain agreed that if I could find 3 other lads, he would welcome us down to Plymouth, and we could go on board the Sheffield for a week as part of work experience. Never happened before. And obviously we're talking 45 years ago.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was in the Navy Cadets, managed to find 4 boys, or 3 boys and myself, and we spent a week on the Sheffield. Fast forward to 16-year-old and 2 weeks, I left Sheffield on a train to join the Royal Navy. Absolutely wet behind the ears. But at that time, I'd already been working 12 months with my dad, who was a builder.
Yeah.
I'd already been on roofs doing stuff. I'd not engaged in school. But I must have got something up here, because I actually got accepted as a catering accountant, because catering interested me. But within 3 months, again, that dream had gone.
Yeah.
And literally, I did my basic training. They sent us home for 6 weeks in the school holiday, which was weird, because they had a few trainers that were teachers as well. So they sent us home. I think that maybe upset me a bit. But I went then in that 6 weeks, I was working for my dad. He was paying me £40 a week, which I weren't saluting for. The Navy was giving me £25 a week.
That makes a difference.
Yeah. And so I actually came out. The gist of this story is that my first choice ship would have always been, and I would have qualified 2 years later, my first choice ship would have been the HMS Sheffield. I was writing to the chef on the ship as a bit of a pen pal, which I carried on after I came back through school. But if you remember the Falklands War,
that'd be about that time, wouldn't it? Yep.
Yeah, the Sheffield got hit by an Exocet. I think there was about 60-odd people, sailors, got caught up in the aftermath. I think they lost about 20, and everybody was taken off that survived. And then the ship was basically sunk as a memorial. I would have been on that ship.
Wow.
So that's one decision I made that I completely don't regret making.
No, absolutely. That's fascinating.
And as a footnote to that, then you jump 5 years ahead to 21. I've been cleaning windows as a 21-year-old. I've been cleaning windows 2 years. I've been a bit of a lad. My sister was younger than me, 2 years younger than me. She was due to get married. I had her partner as my partner on the windows. And one afternoon, I wandered into the local pub, literally 7 doors from my house. Never been in the pub before in my life. And there was a young lass behind that bar. I thought she was 18, because it's a pub. It was a mum and dad's pub. I got talking to her a week later. I went in, asked where she was. She was out on her birthday. She actually just turned 16, but she worked behind the bar. I was 21, and we're still together 40 years later.
Congratulations.
So 2 decisions I made that I completely don't regret.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you jump forward to 1990, we get married, and I got asked if I wanted to go in partnership with my mum and dad in a licensed premises. My wife came from the licensing background, as I've just explained, and that's probably one of my biggest regret decisions, that I went into partnership with family in a business that we didn't really know, and that was probably the catalyst for us coming to Australia.
Yeah.
But we jump back to what you asked me. What do I like? Through all those periods, through all those decision-making times, I always had window cleaning to fall back on.
Yeah.
And I always and I don't regret any of the decisions I made. They were all lessons in life.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the 7 or 8 years. It was a snooker club that we bought,
Yeah.
but it was just we lost the family lost a lot of money. Kudos to my dad. He didn't allow us to go bankrupt, which if that had happened, and back then in '97 when this happened, we talked about getting away from England. We talked about doing something different. We'd got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so what do I like about window cleaning? It's not rocket science.
No.
But it's allowed me, with the support of the young girl that I mentioned, who's not so young now, it's allowed me to be who I want to be. And it's allowed me to do what I've done over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Especially this last 10 or 12 years, if we jump really forward. We were talking about AFL football earlier. My biggest contract here, I'd only been in the country 18 months, and I got asked by a facility manager if I'd be interested in taking on a job. And I was actually cleaning AAMI Stadium, where proper football's played. And I was cleaning that for a company.
Yeah.
$15 an hour. But this chap came up to me, and I was in the corporate boxes, and I'd got my squeegee, I'd got my washer, doing it all trad, catching the water, Sobo, as we know. And our first interaction was, "Are you Pommy Dave, the window cleaner?" And as you know, my sense of humour, I said, "Well, I'm not Pommy Dave, the carpet cleaner, am I?" And I stood there with the squeegee. We hit it off like that. He literally picked me up that afternoon, took me down to what was known then as Footy Park, the old AAMI Stadium, and I cleaned that until it closed. And at that point, I was actually, and that's whatever you want to call it, away from joining the police force as a mature recruit at 40 years of age. So I was 42, and I'd gone through all the processes. I'd done a TAFE course. I'd done my Cert 4 in youth and youth justice, because that's what interested me. And so obviously when you get offered a contract like AAMI Stadium, and the deal was he would give me all the purchase orders for the whole season, which when I'm on $15 an hour, and the season only lasts for the 7 months, and he literally gave me the equivalent of about $50,000-$60,000 worth of purchase orders. The police idea went out of the window.
Yes. I think it reminds me of in 2015, I took a year off and we went and lived in Asia. And when I came back in 2016, I had my barista training by then, and I thought, will I go into making coffee or will I go back to window cleaning? And it was difficult as a mature in my 50s getting work as a barista because that's viewed as a young person's job.
Yeah.
So I went back to what I knew and restarted my business from scratch. So yeah, I feel what you're talking about, David, there, that sometimes it's just a security that you know about and things come together really, really well. So thinking about your business there in Adelaide, do you have a specific niche? Like, do you just focus on window cleaning or do you do lots of other things?
I just focus on window cleaning. How do I describe my business? My business is set up for me.
Yeah.
For my lifestyle. I don't know if you've followed the last couple of months, but I've just literally 2 weeks ago finished doing the Kokoda trek.
Yes, I saw that.
And I actually 7 weeks before starting the Kokoda, I sustained a meniscal injury in the knee. But me being who I am, go hard or go home. I refused to get an MRI because I thought if I get an MRI, that's going to alert the people that I don't want to alert. So I found an unbelievable physio. I go to, thanks to Mark Nichol, I'll give Mark a mention. And this is another little tip I would give anybody. And I'm transgressing here, which I tend to do a lot. Look after your body. Look, something I've never done. Something I've never done until 10 years ago. I came here and I was probably over 100 kilo when I got here. Or I went up to 100 kilo, but then I started doing some bushwalking with the I put my business like you did. I put my business a bit to one side and still carried on cleaning windows, but I fell into youth work because that's something that's interested me. But I did the Kokoda with a meniscal injury. We managed to get that to a point where with painkillers I could push myself through. But I got back 2 weeks ago today and I had an MRI a week last. I had the MRI on a Tuesday. I got the results last Friday, and apparently I've sustained a knee fracture now.
Oh dear.
So, but like I say, and this is something I've tried to teach people that want to listen. Unless you're going to take your business to the next step, which is what I haven't, and that's have employees, you need to learn to schedule to suit you.
Yeah.
And I found out very quickly here from working with the company I worked for originally. I don't know whether it's just Adelaide or whether it's Australia wide, and maybe people can answer this. For some reason, and I joke about this, people would sooner have the dogs mowed and the lawns washed, right? as in before they would have their windows cleaned.
Yeah.
I would see loads of gyms dogs washing and loads of gyms lawn mowing. But when you're not looking, you don't see window cleaners. Now there seems to have been a huge influx. I won't be disparaging and use the phrase that I do use, but we know what I mean. Basically picking up what they think is the right tool and then asking questions later.
It's interesting you say that, David, because in the podcast interview I did with Brock Torning from Window Cleaning World in Sydney, he talks in there about a young fellow who came in wanting to buy an RO system, but he didn't know he needed a water-fed pole, a brush, and all sorts of other things to attach. He just thought he needed this RO system to clean windows.
Yeah.
And to Brock's credit, that was going to be a $2,000, $3,000 sale, but he explained to the young fellow, no, that's not what happens. This is what you need. And so the young fellow left with a squeegee.
Yeah, there was a question the other day on one of the pressure washing sites that I'm on. And I'm on there just because I can. And it was asking about, he just come back into the business and he was asking about setups. I tagged in the lad that's just built me my skid because he said he was in Sydney and he must have realised that. And I said, look, I can't give you any more information because I'm actually just a window cleaner. And then he asked a question then of me, thinking about that, what pure water system should I get? And I just typed back, learn to squeegee first.
Yes.
Because I could sit here till I'm blue in the face and argue, but if you cannot squeegee, it's pointless being a window cleaner in my eyes. And I'm not going to argue with people about this, but I don't, because I only argue if I think I'm right. I won't discuss if I'm wrong. I'm a Yorkshireman, and if you can't squeegee, you can squeegee any house in the world.
Yeah.
Right. If there's a way of putting your nose to that glass, ladder, knuckle boom, scaffolding, whatever. If you can squeegee, you can clean any house. You can clean any building.
Yeah.
The hospital that we start in October actually used to do it traditional, right? We now use the pure stuff on it, and there's ledge walking. There's three. We used to do it traditional. Two of us poling, drop the poles. We'd have enough gear so that we could drop the poles, go back. If you can't squeegee, and you think you can run a business purely using pure, you're going to come unstuck.
Absolutely.
You're going to come unstuck.
And that's really some of the challenges that I know you're quite passionate about, is the TikTok generation of young people watching a couple of videos and going,
I call them TikTok. I think it's the society we live in now. It's so easy for anything now. For you've got the AI and you've got which goes over my head. But again, we'll come back on. I remember I listened to Brock, and I think one of his tips was go work with someone.
Yes.
Go work with someone. I cannot stress that enough. And I know there's lads out there. I met one about 2 or 3 years ago here in Adelaide that was working out of the back of a car. No ladder, small steps. I now know he's doing really well in Adelaide. I won't mention names, but I know he's doing really well in Adelaide. I believe he's got a couple of hands on the go. He's heavily invested in his business. He's niched himself originally in an area that is growing.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's doing really well. But
Yeah.
there's
Well,
not many that do that, Duncan.
Yeah. Well, I had just this week, David, last week I had a phone call from a young fellow who was at the local Catholic college. He's in year 11. And he said he has started a little window cleaning business in his suburb. And he asked if he could come and do work experience with me.
I love
It
them.
wasn't arranged through the college because that's a bit complicated. It was an exam-free day, and he said, "I'll come and work with you." So he actually bought some new traditional tools in readiness, and he came and we worked all day on Tuesday. And he's 17, and he has this entrepreneurial mindset. He's just wants to be in business. He's already canvassed his area, picked up some commercial clients. He's not just relying on a fast buck. He knows he's got to work hard. But it
I,
just shows that when they come and work with an experienced person, so I was able to provide some tips on both traditional and water-fed. And so he's going to invest in a water-fed system for future reference. But he has a mate who he goes to school with, and they work together.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very encouraging that we're in a country where window cleaning isn't as prominent, but people are starting to branch out. Young people are starting to get into it, and the role that we older ones can play to mentor
For
them.
all the heavy-handedness that I do, um, I'm more than happy to take private messages, which I do, to the point where sometimes they'll message me and then all of a sudden they'll stop messaging. I'm thinking, well, have I said something wrong to them? Have I put my foot in it? I won't mention names, but I've been working very closely with another chap who this time last year actually had an accident in his own home, nothing to do with his window cleaning, and I ended up getting to know his wife because he literally was in hospital, had a serious bang on his head, and at that point he was running his business as a side thing. He was working on shutdowns on the power stations, and this year he's made the decision to go. He's told his boss, and we've worked quite closely with. It's hard for me to explain how I talk people through it, and how we discuss hourly rates, and I've got my thoughts on things like that. But if you're not earning X amount, which I'll be out there, if you're, in my opinion, if you're not, as a sole trader, if you're not grossing over six figures, with what we have to spend to be able to gross six figures and pay tax and pay GST, then you might as well go and work for somebody on wages and have the benefits of wages and
Superannuation, holiday pay, all of those things.
Yeah, something I've not had in. When I did my youth was so basically when AAMI Stadium closed, I actually lost that contract, and I was in the middle of, and I actually went off and I worked in a flow school. As they never really gave me a title, let's call it a support officer, but it was quite it wasn't attached to a school. Lots of young Indigenous kids, lots of kids coming there because they had nowhere else to go. You're either there or youth prison, and that was probably from 2015 up to COVID.
Yeah.
And I literally used to go into the city, do a few jobs in the morning between 5 and 8, then get changed, put my school teacher uniform on, and yeah, if you can believe it, with my accent, yeah. So back to this young chap. I mean, he made the decision earlier on this year to tell his boss on the shutdowns he wouldn't be going back. On my travels, when I came back from Sydney after seeing Nathan with the skid, we called in to see him, and we actually knocked off an aged care home. It was just the outsides, but I think he'd got about 24 hours on it. I had the young lad who works with me as a subcontractor, and he's been with me for 5 years now. And we did it. We'll put it this way: we met at 7. We signed in and messed around up to 7:30. And by 11:30, all three of us was in the cafe having a bacon butter. So it literally took us less than 12 man hours to knock
Yes.
the outsides off. And
Yeah.
he'd never done anything this big. But I walked him through it. I said, this is how we should, this is how you would do it if you were going to be a one-man band.
Yes.
This is how we'll do it. Because the young lad who works for me is a bit shorter. The other lad was taller, so I sent them two together. I could reach every window. And we just worked off. And we, like I said, we'd done it in less than 4.5 man hours each. And he got 24 hours on it. So he was quite happy.
Yeah.
You know? Again, all with Sobo, all with an 18-inch. So, yeah. And again, if we want to talk about equipment,
Yeah.
I know that Sobo is not the best ergonomic for your wrists. I know that. But it's all I've ever known. I've tried others, and I'll not name them, but I've tried them. I've got them in the car, and I give them to the young people and say, look, try this way. 9 times out of 10, they come back to Sobo.
Yeah. I used to have a Sorbo, and then it must have been 20. Let's think, must be about 2012, 2013 when Unger came out with their Ninja, which
Yeah.
was a similar type to the Sorbo, and it just felt better in my hand. And so I recently looked at a Sorbo again and thought about it, but I haven't gone down that path again. So it's one of those never-ending debates. I see it on Facebook forums in Australia, the UK, and America. What is the best squeegee? So that's like saying, why do you wear a red shirt and I'm wearing a blue shirt? It's because I like it. There's no rhyme or reason.
Steve Smith over in because my son lives in Fremantle, Perth now, so I've been going over there obviously a lot. I've got a couple of grandkids, and I've caught up with Smithy, an old window cleaner. I think he's been doing it about 15, 20 years now.
Yeah.
I've had a coffee with him a few times, and Steve Smith says, and he puts it, I think it's whatever fits nice in the hand.
Yeah.
If it fits nice in your hand and you can get on with it, use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's a very technical tip for equipment.
Yeah, so
good in your hand.
I think the original question was, have I got a niche? I think there'll be a couple of lads in Adelaide, if they listen to this, will go, oh, you've got things because of your wife, or you've got things because of this, or you've got, well, don't we all get things because of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I got AAMI Stadium because I was doing IMAR Stadium, which I've just explained.
That's right.
Once I'd got AAMI Stadium and the facility manager, I got that up and running. And the previous window cleaner, the SANFL, South Australian National, I don't know why it's national, but National Football League, the SANFL had already complained about this lad for a couple of seasons on and off. I don't think I had one complaint.
Yeah.
Because I set out a system in my head mainly.
Yeah.
But there was a few tick boxes that I had in the supervisor's cleaner's room. And away I went, did it for I don't know how many seasons. And I think the niche is, for me, is originally, not so much now, because I don't push myself, but I think originally it was Pommy Dave.
Yeah.
We want Pommy Dave.
Yeah.
I get jobs. I get a phone call from a facility manager, and I think if I'd have started, if I'd have pushed to go to that next step and started sending other people, I don't think I would have got the kind of jobs that I got, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely. Because as an owner operator, it's very rare I don't attend the sites.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't remember the last time I sent somebody. Maybe a couple of times I've sent the young boy into the city because he's insisted, told me to have a day off.
Yeah.
But it's because I attend the sites.
Yeah.
The two large hospitals I do, I attend the sites.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm not, and that is probably my niche. If that's anything to go by, it's the personal Pommy Dave touch.
Yeah. I guess you've got to use what your strengths are.
Yeah.
And it seems, David, that you know what your strengths are, how you can connect with clients, and you play on the Pommy Dave approach, whatever. If that's your marketing strength, then you use it. Someone else has a different method, so you can use that to good effect.
And it's interesting you say that, because that was in the originally when I first got here, 2004. I got nicknamed Pom by the window cleaners because there were four of the Daves: Little Dave, Big Dave, and Aussie Dave. So I got called Pommy Dave. In fact, there's some window cleaners still in Adelaide only know me as Pom. They don't even know my Christian name. But again, I'm sort of transgressing a bit. You will have noticed the last 12 to 18 months, I've sort of had a bit of a rebranding. I've now got a website, and I was a member of the Window Cleaning Federation back in England.
Yes.
And I'd go to, because it was easier than to travel England. It's not that hard, but I'd go to some of the conventions.
Yep.
I've seen the lad that cleans the three windows, the speed. I forgot what his name was back in the day, but he won it for years.
Terry.
Terry something. Yeah, Terry, that's right.
Yeah.
I've actually seen him live.
Yeah. He was at the show that I went to in March.
Oh, what is he still going?
Oh, yeah, he was there. And I came second last in the speed cleaning. But I got the prize I was after. That's all that mattered. I knew I was going to win.
Yeah, he says to take him part. Yeah, one thing I have never done in my life is actually have sign writing on my car, on my vehicle. Yeah, it was the biggest tip you got every year in one of the magazines.
Yeah.
The biggest tip. And crazily, when I've talked to people in the last 5 or 6 years that have took time to listen, I've said, get an A board or get your car written up, right? Put the A board out every time you're doing a job. But I've never done it except this year. We've gone the full hog. We've had Nathan build me the skid.
That's Nathan from NWC Software.
Yeah. Nathan built me the skid. I've got it all signed written now on all three sides. And we could talk about that in another episode, but it's hard to explain why I probably spent close to 50 grand when I'm 61. I want to put the business in a position so the skid itself is going to give me longevity.
Yeah.
Even though I've had broken wrists, I've got a broken back, I've now got a broken knee. I'm one of them. I don't see me actually retiring, as in retiring, going off fishing, whatever. I don't see that happening. Because I reckon if I stop doing what I do, I might end up 6 foot under. Do you know if that makes sense? So
can I just jump in there? Because that's a really interesting point. As you said, you're 61, you can't think of yourself retiring. At the beginning of the year, I was in Sydney and I called into Window Cleaning World and was talking to Peter Erkin, the owner. And I'm 64 and have been in the window cleaning game since 96. And he said, if you can stay in the industry as long as possible, because the industry needs the experience to be brought to bear so that people can learn. And he said, it would be a shame if you were lost to the industry. And he would probably say the same thing to you, David, if you were talking to him about it.
That's quite reassuring.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I've probably spent maybe more than 50 when I think about it. Because I had to have a GVM, whatever it's called, kit put on I kept the same car, but I took the back off, put a Toyota tray on it, so that Nathan could fit the skid. Then realised it was going to take me above the 3,000, but not a lot. But I wanted to make sure I could still use the car with the grandkids in when they come. Yeah. So the three train of thought is the fact that I can stay around, which you and I'll thank Peter, and I've had a couple of dealings with Peter over the last he actually threw quite a decent amount of money into the fundraising I did. It's the longevity.
Yeah.
Putting the business in a position where it looks attractive to someone.
Yeah.
Whether that be a large company that wants to sort of buy out me, but then employ me as a subsidiary to their company.
Yeah.
Or whether it's somebody that wants to actually buy in. As I say, I've had a young lad from my local chip shop down the road work for me since he was 15. Did 1 year at uni, then dropped out. He actually wants to be a filmmaker. He's just been in Thailand, Japan, and he's in China at the moment for 3 weeks. And he'll be happy because we've actually not I've not scheduled much in because of the knee, so he's going to come back to a busy period. I'll employ him as a subcontractor, and he just loves, whether he loves window cleaning, that'd be interesting to actually ask him, but he just loves the money side of it. But he wants to be a filmmaker, so I would never put anybody off their dream of doing anything. I think his dad would love him to invest the money that he's managed to save into my business and settle down, but he's got more traveling to do, in my opinion. But yeah, they're the three things that I've really pushed this year. The sign writing on the car with the skid, which enables the skid end, without a doubt. I should have probably done it 10 years ago.
Yeah, it looked really good on the social media.
Yeah,
Particularly Nathan's, when he was showing the world about what he did for you. It looks really,
and he actually,
and what it does, it lifts your level of professionalism up. And it's not saying that
it gives you a presence.
Yeah, it's not saying that you weren't professional, but it just takes it up a notch, and people look at this and they're impressed.
Yeah,
It's a lesson I learned back in '97 when I got rid of the old car I was working out of and bought a brand new Subaru Forester and worked out of that. And I am convinced that some people hired me as their residential window cleaner simply because I had a great car to drive in.
yeah,
Because they felt that they're getting a successful business person, and they love to hear when you are successful. People like talking to successful people and doing business. So
yeah,
even if at times it looks like you're faking it till you make it,
yeah,
just
yeah.
looking that way and presenting that way makes a massive difference to dealing with business.
Yeah.
Yes. You said recently you've got a website, and I had a look through that, and it's before our interview, and it's a very well-structured website. It's not complicated. People can get all the information they want from it. What are the other ways that David Baker markets his business?
Word of mouth.
Yeah. You like that?
Without a doubt, word of mouth. I've tried in the last 3 or 4 years, because I wanted to try and push it to see how far I could push it. I've tried emailing, as in contacts of people. So my business is at the moment is based around, I would say, healthcare. Again, and no secret, behind every good man, there's always a good woman.
Absolutely.
And
Well, I changed that a little bit. Behind every good man is a surprised woman.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, like I said, she's allowed me over the years to do silly things, go off and do silly things, fly to England for 4 days, fly to Papua New Guinea, work with the youth kids when at a time when I should have been maybe going out and build. Like I said, we came here 20 years ago with nothing. We had to start again at 40 and 35, and with 2 kids as well. And both my kids now are 30 and 30, 31 and 33, both doing well in their chosen fields. Both of them can clean windows as well as me, again, because it's a skill that they can go and earn money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Without having to, yeah. So I've tried emailing. I think the next step for me, if it happens, as I say, my daughter has got a really, really, really good job with the government. She's into a youth, same as me. She actually, yeah, so she's got a good job. I think she would, once she starts her family, I think she would slip into the business. And that would then be not, I wouldn't call it cold calling, but that would be then her knocking on doors, following up the email.
Yeah.
And again, Duncan, it comes back to me and my lifestyle. At the moment, I've got 8 aged care, 1 ILU, and a huge hospital to do before I start doing schools in December.
Yeah.
I've obviously got this knee injury, so the last 2 weeks I had to completely rest. The physio this morning has told me that I can do a bit of light work next week. But all my jobs, I've got no runs. If you obviously people understand what a run is. I've got the odd shop in the CBD when I go into the CBD of Adelaide. I've got a golf club. I've got a couple of pubs. All of them are not set in stone when I have to go and do a run.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing I couldn't handle back then, and I don't think I could handle now. And and I'm not apologising for saying this, but someone saying to me, "We need you on Tuesday, the 1st of October, in 3 weeks' time to clean our house." That house is only worth $300, let's say, because it's a 2-bedroomed unit. But I get a call, like I was getting it during COVID, to go and clean a full section of a aged care home after they'd come out of a COVID outbreak.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say to the COVID outbreak home, "Oh, look, I can't come because I've got an house to do." And I've tried to explain that to some of the younger boys because they all go out and they get all these jobs, and they all, I think, what is it, one app called Jobber, and for scheduling and things like that. I just feel that unless you're really big and you've got 4 or 5 people working for you, you don't really need an app to schedule stuff in, because in my opinion, all of your smaller jobs, you should be able to move them side to side to accommodate your bigger jobs.
So you've really set up your business to suit, as you said earlier, your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you like to have a fairly flexible lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that works for David Baker. Someone else needs to have the structure of what we say in Australia, a window cleaning run, or in the United States, they will say a route work. They want that bread and butter money.
Yeah.
So I guess each of us have a methodology on how we want to run our business, and no one should apologize for how they do it. I hope you really enjoyed that chat that I had with David Baker from DB Window Cleaning in Adelaide. Quite a character, has some fabulous stories to tell about his life in the game. And so we've got more to talk about together. And so in our next episode, we're going to talk about how David sets boundaries in business and some tips that he loves to share with anybody who's starting out. You're going to really enjoy the chat with David in our episode that will be landing at the Window Pro podcast next week. So look out for that. I hope you enjoy it, and I would love to hear your comments on what you've learned from David in this 2-part episode of the Window Pro podcast. Till we chat soon, enjoy your business journey.